Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Miami Comedy Podcast. I just learned today that the UM is playing for the CFP. I don't know what that means, but I'm assuming college football is somewhere in there. Maybe P is the college football parade. Anyways, shout out to the mascot of UM for having the look that he has. I've always appreciated that style of a mascot. That guy, that bird, pelican, what is it, a stork? It's got a gold chain on and it's smoking marijuana. It looks like the plug of the University of Miami. Just somebody out there selling blow and blunts to pay his tuition. And he's representing UM very well because that's exactly how I see all the students there. I really do hope they win it because UM probably has a more popular football team than the Dolphins. And when you pay that much money to go to school, you might as well have a team to root for. So it makes total sense to be fanatics of the UM. Even if you went to Miami-Dade College or FIU, you at least have a team to look forward to in the college division, even if you couldn't afford the tuition there, like myself. Because that's exactly how I feel as an FIU alum. I'd never seen a FIU Panthers game. However, whenever I did try to apply for a job, I felt like a Panther, just swinging in the air in hopes of finding a good career. So on today's episode, we're going to be talking about some predictions, or rather some things that I put on my 2026 bingo card for the city of Miami. Now, I've seen Miami go through a lot of changes over the years. And based off of these patterns and what I've seen in the past, I think I can make somewhat accurate predictions of the future. Now, don't forget, this is a comedy podcast. All right? If something sounds like financial advice, I guarantee you it's not. However, I would take my own advice, and I'm probably going to see if any of these do come true. I made a list out of this stuff to see if later on in the year I can cross some of them off as it happened, right? So the first one being, now that Venezuela is going through all that stuff, not a political podcast, don't worry about it, I'm politically fluid. I changed my political views based on who I'm trying to fuck. But I do live by the Doral area, and I've seen Doral change over the years, and I've seen Doral build shopping plaza after shopping plaza. The malls are getting bigger there. There's now mansions being built out in the open because of all the property that's out there. Doral is quickly becoming like, you know, when you think of Brickell, you think of like loud money. Doral is the area of Miami that's got that quiet money. Like, we're just slowly building, making the money around here, but we're kind of like keeping hush-hush about it because we don't want too much attention, right? We don't got to slap a Mercedes-Benz logo on our mid-rises. We don't got to let them know that it's affordable around here, or at least was affordable, because now that all this money is going to be pouring to the Venezuelans, and in case you guys don't know, for a little context, Doral is known as Doralzuela, or the second capital of Venezuela. So somehow, I know one way or another, that stuff is going to start flowing in this area. More properties are going to be bought, more plazas, more businesses that are mysteriously profitable. I've never seen any business close down in Doral. Everything has thrived around here. And a telltale sign was when I went to a gym and they had high-end, luxurious leather couches in this gym. Now, I know for a fact you got to keep your costs low in order for a gym business model to work out, but these people didn't care. They added their own little flair to it. And I got to admit, it was impressive to see. You've got coffee shops that are also office spaces here, making lots of money, and office spaces that has got their own coffee shop so that you can go in and see what it's like to do some work in there. So Doral is out here making money because we're just full of people that are entrepreneurs here. I was talking to a Venezuelan friend the other day. It's just in their culture to be out there making your own money. You know, it's a shame that they had to go through that dictatorship and their economy is like, what, 500,000% overinflated or whatever. But now that money's going to start pouring in here, I think Doral might just be the richest area in Miami. And it might even compete directly with Brickell. Because if you think about it, Brickell's got to maintain an image. Brickell is not an affordable place, obviously. And it'll never market itself as affordable. Doral keeps it on the low, that it's affordable with the money in the back, you know, in a vault somewhere. Kind of like the vault Maduro was trying to get into when Delta Force showed up, right? But we actually have the money in there, and we're making things happen in this area. So Brickell has to maintain an image, and that gets expensive. And the same way 2008 happened, where everything just started collapsing, I think Brickell will end up I wouldn't want to wish something as bad as collapsing, but Brickell will wake up one day and realize, oh, we overinvested in this area in Miami because, yeah, sure, after the pandemic, everybody started moving here and started looking for a place to stay, and Brickell had all these high rises, but then, it got cocky. People are out here selling e-courses on balconies. People are slapping Versace logos on buildings. Valet is $50, and that's on the hourly. Okay, so Brickell will eventually become like a ghost town where luxury used to be the norm there, but now it's like in reverse. Like in downtown, you would go to downtown, you see all those businesses that are closed, right? And people just walk around and see, oh, this used to be a fabric shop, a place that would sell like clothes back in the day, and then nothing has been leased there since. That's going to end up happening in Brickell. I think Brickell will be so expensive to the point where people kind of just stop buying stuff from there. And it'll realize that only 10% of the apartments are being rented out on all these brand new luxurious places. And then when people start walking around, they're like, over here we've got a vacant, very luxurious building that ran hundreds of millions of dollars, but it only makes about $7,000 in rent money. HOA drove out all the residents of this particular building. So I think it'll be like that. It'll be like the area in Miami that is known to be luxurious, but the people kind of got savvy and they gave up trying to maintain that lifestyle because it's expensive, man. How many times have you seen those people out there that have got money and it just looks exhausting to like maintain that image? Like how many times do you have to upkeep that in order for it to be believable? I'm sure they've got a calendar where they're like, all right, I posted I went to dinner this night, and I haven't posted any dinner shots since then. I gotta go somewhere to have dinner to remind the people that's how I'm living. I haven't gone on a vacation or posted anything international in a moment. I gotta do it again right now. It looks exhausting, and the people that hang out with you and all that stuff, there's no way you found peace letting people know you're rich. And I think that's what Brickell is doing. It just overextended itself as being known as that, and then it just becomes exhausted. While Doral was on the back end, slowly building. Mansions are out in the open because in Miami, if you see a mansion, it's either deep within what seems like an Area 51 of a gated community, or you go to like Coconut Grove and you got to go through like the shrubbery, right? You got to go into the forest of Coconut Grove to see the mansion. And even then, you still have to fight like the moats of crackheads and homeless people in order to actually go that far into the forest of Coconut Grove. Here in the Doral area, mansions out in the open, as if mob bosses are out here building this stuff because like the territory was always there, but people just held on to it. And now recently, just one mansion after the other. Big houses with only one car parked in the front. So that's number one. That's my number one prediction. Doral is going to be the new, if not one of the richest areas or wealthiest areas in Miami. The second one, I would predict that downtown Miami turns into a brand new nightlife option for the city of Miami. Have you ever been to one of those cities where you start walking down the street and it's just one bar after the other? You got a bar over here, a bar over there, and they all got their own theme. They all got their own like food menu or like vibe or music. I think downtown Miami is slowly becoming that, where it becomes a creative strip for nightlife. Not necessarily like dancing or whatever, but like bars, maybe like a place that plays vinyl. There's already one there that does that. Maybe like a karaoke spot or a pub that's like Irish or European, and stuff like that you see when you go down these strips, right? Maybe there's like a Taylor Swift bar crawl going around. Somebody with a flat ass is singing the lyrics down to the key. Yeah, I think that's what downtown Miami is going to be. It's going to be a very niche nightlife scene with very creative outlets for people to actually go out and enjoy themselves. Picture like local watering holes, like the stuff you see in Cheers, right? And then every bar will have its own experience or vibe. Like this bar is perfect for first dates. This one's for the breakups. This one for the people on the friend zone, right? Or maybe like this is the place where like people that won't know that we work together are also fucking, right? That kind of thing. Like it's gonna have like its own little vibe based on its particular niche. And of course, there'll be some high-end places there as well. I think, maybe like some high-end restaurants, maybe not too tacky, not too snobby, but, a nice little Italian spot or two. Yeah, I think downtown Miami is going to be the brand new place where people start hanging out in because there's just so many spots available. And then they're catering it to families as well. Like I believe Flagler Street turns into a family-friendly spot. I think there's like some sort of thrift shop that's pop up there as well. So downtown Miami is definitely going to be making some big changes in 2026, and I think nightlife will be part of that big change. The next one, the third one, what I would say is that speaking of nightlife, I think nightlife is going to have to revamp and restructure and reframe what nightlife is going to be in Miami. Because let's face it, man, how many times have we gone out in Miami and we know exactly what to expect? The fun part of going out when you go clubbing is the adventure of it. Like, you don't know what's going to happen. But nowadays, the nightlife of Miami has like become copy and paste. Like, all right, we're going to go out. They're going to play this particular music. These particular people are going to be there. This promoter, this DJ, this sound, right? And so Miami eventually will start waking up to seeing this particular pattern, and it'll start going for something different. Now, what do I mean by different? Miami has gone through phases, and believe me, I've seen it. I remember that Miami even had like a very deep gothic scene. Like that thing was, you had to go deep in Miami, but the people were there, and they definitely dressed the part and listened to all those songs and all that. So I think Miami will start bringing back these niches, especially since we've got brand new people coming here. The culture is going to start going for things that are community oriented. You know, something like maybe like a jazz bar. I know there's jazz groups that play in particular bars like pop-up, but like if you think of like Chicago. Now, I'm not comparing Miami to another city. I'm only providing ideas. If you think of like Chicago, they got like the Blue Note bars, they got Andy's Jazz Bar, right? But that's like the Chicago style jazz. Now, of course, Lil Havana has live music, right? It's got the Cuban jazz, it's got the salsa, right? That stuff could probably spread into other areas of Miami. That's what I'm trying to say. So you still got that Latin flair, you still got that old school vibe, something that you can have an old fashioned with, blackout in a luxurious, fashionable way, right? Maybe if you wore those wingtip shoes and somebody said, how much have you had to drink? But they see how nice you dress, they'll let you off on a warning, that kind of vibe. So yeah, a lot of things like that are going to start coming up. I think places that maybe would reorient itself to like music lovers. It doesn't necessarily have to be live bands, jazz, or like DJs, but maybe something like a vinyl, right? Like the one in Wynwood and the one in downtown that like have DJs that play different kinds of music. Open format, they surprise you with a good beat. They introduce it in new music. It provides a vibe. I think stuff like that is going to start popping up. Maybe they should bring back Irish bars in Miami, like a place that plays like Irish music over a reggaeton beat, right? A place where you can have a fight and create content at the same time because it's acceptable to have a bar fight there. There's stuff like that. I think that'll start picking up in the city of Miami when they realize that the nightlife is becoming very repetitive, right? It's going to start being more selective on the particular niches for the nightlife. The next thing, speaking of niches, I think food. The food industry in Miami is going to change big time because they definitely felt it last year. And I think fast food is a good angle. However, tacos, pizza, and burgers, enough already. We've got enough of those. And sure, some of them provide not only the fast food where you can go there after a few drinks late at night, they're still open, they're still serving food, they do delivery. Some of them got an experience. Hell, there's some taco spots that when you go to the back room, there's a night, there's a party going on. And how convenient is it that you can go get some tacos, go dancing, burn the calories off, or do it the other way around, right? You have a few drinks, maybe your date ends up leaving with some other guy, and you're like, you know what? At least I still got Mexican food next door. And I don't even, some of these taco spots don't even promote being Mexican. They're just out here saying they got tacos, but like they don't even like, they don't even brand themselves as this is Mexican food. Like I would understand if there was like a little Mexico in Miami, but Mexico isn't known to be around here in Miami, but yet we got so many taco spots, like literally right next to each other. One block to the other, just taco, 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 because of the convenience of it. Same thing with burgers, smash burgers here, food truck burgers over there, pizza, the same thing. So clearly, fast food is very convenient and in demand in the city of Miami. But if you want to switch it up, where you can provide to this market, you're going to have to do a different kind of fast food that people are actually going to enjoy, that differentiates yourself from the market. And then, things like shawarma starts popping up. Chinese food late at night sounds pretty good to me. What about a ramen spot, right? I think these kinds of fast food joints are going to start opening. They're going to provide their own vibe. They're going to get into the delivery service of it. Straight up convenience. Maybe they got a little section where you can dine in and there's a vibe going on. That stuff will be prominent in the city of Miami in 2026. That's definitely in my bingo card. And, the next thing I would say is people usually like getting desserts late at night, like cravings or whatever. Now, I've been cooking at home lately. And let me just say that when you make food that is sweets at home using like that healthy stuff, like, look, I'm no health nut, okay? But I do dabble. I kind of just want to eat something that I don't feel bad doing. And let me tell you, healthy sweets are underrated. And if I think of the late night food market and I think about like all those places that stay open, serving a 500 calorie cookie that's extremely decadent, or like, an ice cream shop or whatever, way too much sugar, way too much, caramel or whatever they put on it these days. If you sell desserts that are healthy, those things are so delicious, and you don't have to feel bad that you ate that when you wake up the next day with a hangover. Because if you had like a pistachio nougat banana with dates and dark chocolate frozen, that tastes just as good as a frozen Snickers bar. You know what I mean? If there's a late night spot serving that stuff, that craving is gonna kick in. They're gonna eat it. They're gonna see how good it is, and there's not gonna be that guilt thing in the morning where they shouldn't have eaten that. That is going to be a great food niche to get into. So mark my words, somebody's gonna figure it out and realize that homemade or healthy desserts are a great replacement to decadent desserts late at night. Because once you bite into something like that, I myself am like, I don't ever want to eat some sugar cookie when I can have something like, like some date pecan crumble dark chocolate. That tastes so much better and so much more filling. Trust me on this. Someone's going to figure it out and realize that's going to be a late night food to serve. The next thing that I'm going to see that will be a big change in the city of Miami is, and you're already seeing it right now, nothing but micro influencers will be popping up once they start gaining that confidence. They start realizing that creating content is actually pretty easy to do. They get a little confident, they start creating it, they start getting consistent, they start getting some traction, and they start realizing that, oh, this isn't work, this is actually fun to do. Once micro influencers, or not even, this is like people that are just community oriented, start becoming more consistent with their content, they're going to be able to put together communities that is going to change the entire landscape in the city of Miami when it comes to being social, both online and in person. Something like I don't know, like a chess team. What do you call those? A community of chess players. But you got to you got to start these communities with style, right? Because in Miami, we also got style. You can't just be out here nerding it up if you want to start like a chess club. But if you did like a chess club while reggaeton music's playing, or like a chess club and it's just like, bad bitches while, trying to play chess, trying to come off smart, to post for Instagram, something like that. You know what I'm talking about. You got to make it fashionable to get into this kind of stuff. But eventually somebody will figure it out, create content about it, frame it in a way that makes it look fun, makes it look interesting and all-inclusive and welcoming and all that stuff. And then what ends up happening, they build their own clout, and then now you've got all these micro-influencers doing their thing in the city of Miami. Because here's the thing that I've realized about creating content. The more consistent you get, the more consistent you can continue being in it, right? And so you kind of like make it into like a hobby, and then that hobby ends up being something that can build something brand new or community driven. So the future influencer isn't famous. It's a useful person bringing people together. And I've been doing this for years. I've seen it happen in real time. Is it easy to do? Back then it wasn't. You had to come up with ideas. You had to find the niche. You had to be consistent. You had to edit. You had to do all that stuff. Now you could just, get a good idea, create a bunch of content for a week's worth of stuff. Bam, in and out, 1 or 2 hours. And then that consistency will start building up the social groups in the city of Miami. So there you have it. Those are my predictions on my bingo card of what we're going to be seeing in Miami now that 2026 is here. I know when people start waking up and start seeing the repetitive stuff, when they start seeing the pattern, when they start getting bored. I've seen Miami change multiple times. I always got my finger on the pulse. That's why I chose comedy in the city, because I love talking that shit with my city. And I see y'all changing. I see y'all evolving. Me too. I've changed too. I've evolved too. Right? Being 40 in the city of Miami is wonderful. I'm an adult around here. That's an amazing position to be in. 40s are the new youth in the city of Miami because we're a little more stable, right? We got ourselves more under control. We're not out there making too many mistakes. And we're living our best lives in one of the best cities in the USA. So put those on your bingo card. Take it however you want. And yeah, if you got any ideas, put it to work because I think 2026 is going to be the year that there's going to be lots of opportunities out there. Thanks for tuning into the Miami Comedy Podcast. We record these live every single Thursday. And don't forget, we are running a brand new campaign for the podcast. You can go on the live stream on Thursday nights, join the subscription, and then when we record the actual podcast, you can be a virtual guest in the chat room, and we'll give you a shout out. We can create some content if it's good. You know, if you put some valuable stuff on the chat, someone we can riff off, go to the Instagram page for Miami Comedy, which is at Miami Comedy. Subscribe, and then you'll get access to the live streams. Speaking of live, if you want to see stand-up comedy shows in the city of Miami, we've got 4 great shows with great venues that we've built a great relationship with. Blackbird Ordinary shows Tuesdays and Saturdays. If you haven't been to these yet, they're so much fun. I didn't know I was that kind of comedian until I got in that venue with the people that go there, and we do the laughter party. It's the perfect alternative to nightlife. Speaking of community, speaking of niches, speaking of things that are brand new. You know, some people want to go out and they want to feel like they partied without going home late so they can wake up and be responsible. It's Too Lit Tuesday and So Lit Saturday. You go there, nightlife vibe, party's over before 11. You can go straight to bed right after that. Or you can stick around for the laughter party. I mean, there are specials. And then there's Mondays and Fridays at Thank You Miami. This is more of the community, local neighborhood watering hole bar where you can come out, eat some munchies, have a beer, watch some local comedians working on their craft, and this is definitely the place that feels like a group chat in person while we all laugh at inside jokes together and come up with new material. So that is Mondays and Fridays. Thank you, Miami. All right, everybody. Once again, thanks for tuning in. I'll see you on the next episode of the Miami Comedy Podcast.